amputated. Okay, swiftly on. So eye disease is an issue. So remember, diabetes is not a disease, not as far as I'm concerned. It's a medical condition, but from it, you can get eye disease. That's retinopathy that I spoke about, blurred vision and going blind. You can get heart disease. Cardio means heart, cardiovascular. You can get kidney disease. So a lot of Asian people that I come across and visit in hospitals, because they're not taking care of themselves, they develop kidney disease. You can get nerve disease as well, okay? Those are the complications from diabetes. And I'll just tell you something. For the 70th anniversary of the National Health Service, they had a program down at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital here in Birmingham. And they wanted somebody to go and speak on the program, 2-hour BBC show. And everybody said, oh, Tony Kelly will go. So I went. The first question the woman asked me on that BBC Live for the 70th anniversary of the NHS, which was 5 years ago, because that's the same year as the Windrush. She said, so Mr. Kelly, you're a diabetes sufferer. I said, excuse me? I am this condition called diabetes. I'm living with it. I am managing and controlling it. It is not managing or controlling me. I hope you see the difference there. So please never, ever call me a diabetes sufferer. There are people, admittedly, who have the medical condition and suffer badly from it and have to be taking various drugs and so on, and metformin and insulin. I don't. Now, let me just explain something to you. Everyone with type 1 has to inject insulin into their stomach 3 times a day, type 1. Because remember, the pancreas has stopped working. Some people don't like to inject, so they wear a pump strapped to their body, and the insulin drips slowly but surely to keep them alive. That's type 1. And some, when I go to some places, I say, sir, Mr. Kelly, Tony, can they take the pump off to go have a shower or a bath? I say, yes, they can. But when they've done, they have to put it back on because they're on insulin for life. 102 years ago, a man named Sir Frederick Banting, 102 years ago, in his Canadian homestead, noticed a meager dog outside. This is a true story, it's on the internet. And with his French student, the French student was Charles Best, they made up this concoction. Just like how Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin, Sir Frederick Banting, if you're going on any quiz show, made insulin, artificial or man-made insulin. They injected it into the meager dog that they saw outside, and the dog started to put back weight on again. That was how insulin was discovered 102 years ago. So, come the 14th of November, that is Sir Frederick Banting's birthday. So every year on the 14th of November, we have World Diabetes Day. And just as a matter of going sideways, the birthday of our current king is also King Charles on the 14th of November. I'll leave that with you. Moving swiftly on. So some people with type 2, it gets worse and gets worse, and they have to go on metformin or other tablets, and some have to end up going on insulin as well. But I am one of the lucky ones, and I'm going to tell you what the things that I do in a moment to keep the complications at bay. But before I do, even, you know how recently we couldn't get into the doctor's surgery, you couldn't get your bloods and so on? You can go to the Diabetes UK website and you can put in the Know Your Risk. You can put in your height, your age, your gender. It tells you your ethnicity, and all the things it asks you to put in. You put them in and you put in your postcode. And it will work out for you. Nearly 1,600,000 people have done this. It will work out for you whether you are no risk, NO, low risk, LOW risk, medium risk, or high risk. And if you come into the medium or high risk, this is for people who do not as yet have diabetes. If you want to find out where you are on the scale. And if you come into the medium or high risk, the National Health Service has a national diabetes prevention program over about a 7 to 8 month period. We're in a group with others who similarly have medium or high on a weekly basis. Some do it virtually on internet, but some do it face to face with trained people who then take you through what you should be eating, what you should be doing, how you need to lose weight, how you need to do this, how you need to get more fitter and so on. That is the National Diabetes Prevention Program. And if you get called to go on it, don't just sit back and say, oh, I can't be bothered to go on it, because it is important that you do. So eat a healthy, balanced diet, be more active, and stop smoking. I'm going to quickly tell you what I do. What I do. I'm not saying you must do this. You need to find out what floats your boat. For years and years and years, every week I go to a Pilates class. Every week I do badminton. Every week I do yoga. I couldn't swim, but I go into the pool. The water now come up further than my navel, and I do something called aquarobics with the instructor, with the music, and you're moving your feet and your hands against the floor of the water. I grew up in Jamaica. My grandmother said, you're my favorite grandson. You're not going to beach, you're not going to sea, you're not going to catch janga, you're not going to catch crab because you will drown. So I have never learned to swim. During the lockdown, I read an article that Linford Christie, and I don't need to tell you who Linford Christie is, you all know, learned to swim. And I thought, if it's good enough for Linford Christie, it's good enough for Tony Kelly. So I went down to Birmingham University where I studied. That's where I did my master's degree. And I enrolled there for swimming lessons. And I have been so good. They said, you're so good, Mr. Kelly. They've moved me from the beginner's class to intermediary. And what I'm saying to you people online here is, get this myth away about Black people can't swim. Linford Christie can swim and Tony Kelly can swim. And I'm saying to you people on the line, it's never too late for a shower of rain. If I can do it, so can you. And some of you have children and grandchildren, let them learn to swim. It might be that which might save their life later on. So now I'm learning to swim, and they're wanting to move me up again. They say, and what I do with all these things is, what it does, it keeps all the food I eat and drink, and I eat very healthily. I burn up the calories. I burn up so all of this blood glucose, blood sugar that's in my system by doing all this movement and what have you and so on, fast-paced walking and zoom. And one thing I didn't mention that I do something called Zumba. I go to a Zumba class. I'm the one degga, I'm keeping it Jamaican, one degga man in a Zumba class with 20 women or 25. And I say, I am the rose amongst all you thorns. And they laugh. And they say, you still come back every week. Remember I said at the beginning, for those who joined late, I saw firsthand in Whitehall, St. Thomas, Jamaica, the suffering of relatives of diabetes. If I can help it, prevention is better than cure. I am not prepared to go there. So I do all the physical activity that I can do to keep the complications at bay. Okay? Very quickly, HbA1c. You'll hear that mentioned a lot, HbA1c. Now, I cannot do the standard 3-month HbA1c, which any doctor can tell you what you've ate or drank in 3 months. I have something called the sickle cell trait, just the trait. And you know the sickle cell is when instead of the blood corpuscle or the cell formed round like a record, it is C-shaped, like a crescent, like a moon, or like a sickle that you use to cut. So some people who have the full-blown sickle cell anemia, ever so often they go into a sickle cell crisis and have to be admitted to hospital because they're in pain, lots of pain. But I only have the trait. But anybody with sickle cell trait, sickle cell anemia, or thalassemia cannot do the standard 3-month HbA1c blood glucose test. They have to do something called a fructosamine test, which tells you what you ate or drank only for the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So that's what I have to do for them to measure where I am on the scale. Blood pressure monitor. A few years ago, my nurse said, your blood pressure is a bit high, excuse me. And she wanted to put me, she did 3 readings, which is what they're supposed to do, and it was still very high. Ladies and gentlemen, I suffer from something called white coat syndrome. If any of you are wearing a white coat and a stethoscope like a doctor, the heart starts beating. So when I go to clinics and surgeries and hospitals, it's called white coat syndrome. And that happened because when I was back in Jamaica, I had 1 or 2 of my back teeth taken out by a dentist. And he pulled at them and didn't give me enough local anesthetic. And that has made me very fearful of doctors and dentists and anybody in white coat. So I said to her, she said to me, she's going to give me blood pressure tablets. I said, oh, no, you're not. So I asked for a blood pressure monitor, and you have to go on a waiting list. It took about 2 months to come. And I took that home and fitted it on for 24 hours. Then I took it back and I did the results. And they said, Mr. Kelly, your blood pressure is fine. While you had it on at home for the 24 hours, it was absolutely perfect. So I'm saying to you, when you go to the doctors or go to the GPs or what's on, open your mouth and ask, why are you giving me this? What's this for? Is this really necessary? Can we try another angle or what have you? Some people have to be on medication, don't get me wrong. But on occasions, drugs sometimes mask the problem. Pernicious anemia. Some years ago, I was feeling very tired. Now, 18 years ago, I wouldn't have gone anywhere, no GP or doctors. But this time I went and they said I am lacking in vitamin B12. Anybody who is vegan or vegetarian must take supplements, B12 supplements, because B12 is found in meat products. I eat meat, but somewhere along the line, I probably wasn't eating enough meat or enough dairy products. This is what the doctor said would be the solution to lacking in B12. Every 3 months, this is as no word of a lie, every 3 months for the rest of my life, I must have a B12 injection. I said to the doctor, that is not going to happen. Wheel and spin and come again. I went home. I have a lot of doctors and nurses in my family. I went to the Pernicious Anemia Society website, and it said, eat certain things. You will have to go look up the things it say eat, but dairy products and meat. And I also get 2 things from Holland and Barrett. I get a B12 vial of tablets, 1 a day, B12 slow releasing tablet. And all the people need to probably have this 1 a day, natural. And I get something called Floradix. Floradix is full of Bs, 6B, 2B12. It's natural extracts, no preservatives, no colorings. My wife prefers Metatone tonic. And the older you get, you do need some booster. So I have the Floradix and the B12 tablet. And my B12 has been in the correct range ever since. So me tell off the doctor when I went back after 3 months, and I went back and I said, well, the dickens you was wanting to juke me in my bottom every 3 months for the rest of my life. So you need to be mindful of that. Kidney stones I once had, and I had to be rushed to hospital. This is about 11, 12 years ago. And I was in bed and my wife said to me, you're in a lot of pain. And I said, yes. And I said to her, my appendix has burst. Now, women are very bright. Trust me. She said, don't be stupid. Your appendix is not on that side. I said, how am I supposed to know? I'm in pain here. Anyway, we called the ambulance. They took me to hospital. I had developed kidney stones for the first time ever. It was from drinking cow's milk, full fat cow's milk with the cream on the top. The doctor said, if you don't want to come back in here with kidney stones, go for plant-based milk. I'll name them: coconut milk, rice milk, almond milk, cashew milk, and oat milk. Coconut, rice, almond, oat, and cashew. Those are the milks that I drink now. They have a very funny taste, but eventually get used to it. One, I tell you, because people ask me in my events, what about soya milk? The soya as a plant attracts a lot of pesticides. And what they do with the soya is they inject a lot of pests. So they inject a lot of pesticides or spray it with insect pesticides and so on. That can go into the food chain and can cause the then milk from the soya to you get cancer and cancerous and carcinogenic. So I don't bother with the soya milk, and I'd urge you not to do that. Okay? Eat a healthy balanced diet, which we're going to come on to. Look at the people who get diabetes the most. taxi drivers, bus drivers, van drivers, tube drivers, lorry drivers. Why? Because they're sitting down most of the time, sedentary couch potato lifestyle. If you're on medication, prescribed, take it. Then this one I'm going to talk about briefly, social prescribing. Now, most of the NHS have realized that they've been doling out NHS tablets, pills, and sometimes drugs mask the problem. So most doctors now have what we call a social prescriber in their surgery to sit the person down to talk with them about, oh, we can give you some gym lessons, line dancing, aquarobics, swimming, give you an allotment for you to go and grow things, to make you more fit, to make you more active. It's a social prescriber in the GP surgery. And when they offer you that, it is done on the GP's budget. I must stress that, not on your budget. So you need to ask about social prescribing and what the doctor can do to help you to become more fitter and more active and more healthy. Control your blood glucose levels, keep them low by doing all the various things that you need to do that I'm talking about. This some people know, but some people don't. And it's a traffic light signal. Just like how you have red at the traffic light and you know red is danger, in most supermarkets and food stores, the more reds you see on the label at on the item you're buying spells trouble. It's more sugar, it's more salt, it's more fat, it's more saturated. You need to go for more ambers and certainly more greens when you're doing your shopping. Okay, now and again, a little treat is not bad for you, but this can't be a regular everyday thing, is what I'm saying. Okay, that's the traffic light signal. This is my friend in Jamaica. He used to like smoothies and talks about smoothies a lot. Your mouth was made for you to chew the food, eat and chew, so your food goes into a bolus, B-O-L-U-S, or ball. That's what the mouth is there for. When you have a vegetable smoothie or when you have a fruit smoothie, I demonstrate. It goes down. The enzymes in here have not had a chance to do anything from the smoothie, goes down into the stomach, and you either pass it out that way or that way. The peptic acids and amino acids in the stomach have not had the chance. If you ate the carrot or the apple or the broccoli or the kale or the gully beans or susumba the normal way, then it goes down in here, the peptic acids and the amino acids able to do their job properly. If you do the smoothie, I'm afraid you're not getting any benefit from them. And also, smoothies from supermarkets are packed with sugar. I don't need to say any more than that. If you want to take a picture of this, these are the websites you need to go to. And when I do the Asian communities, I say, please dial that number there. They're there 9 till 5, Monday to Friday. These are diabetes experts who can give you any advice you want, more than me, who is just doing this for an hour and a half. You go to that website, Diabetes UK, the helpline, or you go to the number. And if your language is other than English, Arabic, Mupuru, Hindi, Urdu, Chinese, or what have you, they are able to get an interpreter and call you back and speak to you in your language. So that I have to stress, especially when I'm doing people whose language is other than English. Okay, now that says any questions. I'm going to stop. I'm going to go. Now, the first one, it says, do people with diabetes need to follow a special diet? Normally, when I'm doing it face-to-face, I ask people to put up their hand and then I ask them why they say that. Don't have the chance to do this now, but the answer to that is nobody needs to follow a special diet. When I was growing up in Jamaica, they would put on a completely different pot from my aunt and the other relatives who had diabetes. We didn't know at the time. This is the 60s we're talking about, and the 70s. We all must eat from the one pot, but it must be a healthy, well-balanced diet. So those people who like to go on the keto diet or the water diet or the this diet, most people who go on those diets, after 2-3 weeks, they fall off the wagon. Go instead for a healthy, well-balanced diet, okay? Do people with diabetes need to stop eating rice? Then I ask them to put their hands up, and some of them put their hands up, and I say, listen here. Think of China. 2 billion people live in China. Think of the paddy fields of China. Are you telling me the people in China must stop eating rice? I don't think so. That's a staple product, okay? What we're saying to you is 2 things. The rices you need to go for, you can eat the other rices, but in less is more. Brown rice, wild rice, Diabetes UK says this loud and clear, brown rice, wild rice, W-I-L-D, or basmati rice, brown or white. Those are the ones you should be eating more than any others. And some people ask me, well, what about couscous and bulgur? I say, yes, bulgur, because we used to have bulgur in Jamaica at school, and couscous. Those are equally effective. But the other rices, I'm afraid, I would suggest you have them in. This is what we are saying loud and clear. Then, if you where you're sitting now, just put out the palm of your hand, but go in a cup, just in a cup like that. And look at your hand, just one hand, not 2 like this, because that is way too much. Your one hand like this, and you look at your hand, the portion of rice you eat on your dinner plate must fit in the palm of your hand. And some people say, Lord Tony, me is a big man or a big woman. You expect me to eat that little rice on my dinner plate? You will have your vegetables on your dinner plate. You will have your meat dishes if you're a meat eater. You'll have this, that, and the other. So you need to be mindful, because remember, people, all carbohydrates you eat, I'm begging you to remember this, whether it be rice, patty, bread, cocoa, yam, dasheen, all carbohydrates you eat, which is starchy food, breaks down into your body into glucose or sugar. Beg you remember that. So some people say to me, Tony, I'm going to give up the syrup and the banana and the ripe banana and the buns and the cookies and the jam donuts and so on. Yes, to a point, moderation in all things, but remember, all carbohydrates you eat break down into your body into glucose or sugar. And remember, as I said, you should not be having this whole heap of glucose and sugar in your system without getting rid of it, because that is when diabetes is going to come your way. Okay? Yes, you have to eat sweet fruit. Some of the fruits, first of all, the darker the banana skin is the sweeter, the more fructose or natural sugar is in. So go for the banana when it is less ripe. Then also, Tony Kelly will kill you for mango. Me at Jamaica, me grew up, St. Thomas. Me love mango, every mango under the sun. So you see now, it's mango time. We go down at the bull ring. And me buy me big box of Julie mango. Trust me. And I sit down there, and my doctor has given me permission to have 5 and 6 at a time, because I do Zumba, Pilates, yoga, acrobics. I climb the stairs everywhere. I do fast-paced walking. I do swimming. I am constantly burning up the calories. If you don't do that, me say mango in Jamaica now a stone dog. At the best mango season they've had out there. And everybody's eating. And I keep on having to say to them on Facebook, and when we speak to my friends, we say, listen, eat the mangoes, but you have to go and do some physical activity. Any sort of food you eat, you have to get rid of the sugar that's there. So fruits I tend to go for. Melon is very good at this time of the year. You can get melon, because that's water in the melon and so on. And you can go for blackberry, blueberry, strawberry, and raspberry. And the best one of those is the blueberry, which is available all year round. Have that whole, or if you're going to have it with yogurt, not with sweetened yogurt, with plain yogurt. Or you can have it on your cereal, whether it be bran flakes or Weetabix. You notice I said bran flakes, Weetabix, or Alpen. I tend not to go for things like sugar pops and all those sweeter ones. Corn flakes is not a good one to have. Bran flakes, Weetabix, shredded wheat, oatmeal, and porridge, as I said earlier. But fruits you can have within moderation, but not too much of the sweet fruit, because you're just piling on the pounds in if you don't do the physical activity. All of you should say yes to this. The more vegetables you have in your diet, the better for you. The red onion, the red cabbage, the red tomato, the red pepper, the red this, the red that. All the reds, the red grapes as well are far better for you. But one thing I'll tell you to avoid having a lot, it's not a vegetable. Black people, we love with red meat. We love with curry goat, and we love with oxtail, and we love with beef. Beef, red beef, meat of all descriptions, red meat, is the main cause of prostate cancer in men. I do a lot of talks on prostate cancer, and I can tell you, please shy away from too much red meat. My grandmother said too much of one thing is good for nothing. And I'm telling you that loud and clear. You who are from the Caribbean will know exactly. This is why I keep it very real. And people say, Tony, we get you. We understand you. I'm not speaking with a hot potato in my mouth like some of the doctors you go and see. And you understand that by the time they don't speak to you, it fly over your head and you understand a word of what them say. I keep it very real, which is why for the whole of the month of August, I was in Jamaica in November and in Barbados. They heard me on the radio in Florida. They said, no, we're paying your fare to come to Florida. You are the best person to come and tell these people here how they must live their life to keep diabetes away. And that's what I'm doing with you now. But red meat, you need to shy away from, all men, because of prostate cancer. And all of us need to shy away from red meat because it also causes colon or stomach cancer. So you need to be mindful. I'm not saying you must give it up altogether, but it has to be less is more and not as often. Too much of one thing is good for nothing. My grandmother used to tell me as a child. All these sayings that I know from my Jamaican upbringing come from her. So I have her to thank. If I hadn't been there, I wouldn't know them. Okay. Dal and beans. Avoid dal and beans? No. You can have lentils or pulses. The only bean I'm going to tell you to shy away from is one which is used a lot by us, and your niece and your nephew and your grandson and your godson come. Baked beans packed with sugar and salt. Go for reduced sugar and salt baked beans. Then as for this, in the Asian community, I have to tell them off and say cut down on the ghee. And in the Caribbean community, we use a lot of coconut oil. 1 minute the scientists say coconut oil good for you. Then next minute they change their mind and say it's not good. Then it's good. A coconut oil grew me up in Jamaica and it never do me any harm. So I'm afraid. But having said that, in our house, we tend to use extra virgin olive oil. It is more expensive, but of all the oils, that is the one we like to use. However, this is what I want you to do. Boil, bake, steam, grill, and roast. I'll repeat them, no fry-ups. Boil, bake, steam, grill, and roast are far better alternatives than I do this whole heap of oil and so on. And then we go to Jamaica back in the 80s, and we go to Hellshire Beach, and I taste this thing called Festival. Now, the Johnny cake or the fried cake is the best thing since, in some countries they call it bake. Explain to me what the dickens you put sugar in a Johnny cake or dumpling for, fried dumpling for. Eh? What is that all about? Eh? That is a recipe for disaster. That is, so if you invite me to your house and you put Festival on it, me just say, may I go throw it away? Or may I tell you, say, no, thank you, I cannot eat that. The Johnny cake, the fried dumpling or the bake on its own is far nicer. And as a matter of fact, when we do ours, we start it in a liquid oil and we transfer it to the oven. It tastes just as good, same way. I'm keeping it real, folk. So you have to cut down on all of them whole heap of crisp and the whole heap of butter and so on, not doing your body any good. This is one we have to blame down at Selly-Oak, one place named Cadbury's down in Selly-Oak in Birmingham here, where they make all of them chocolate with whole heap of sugar. You cannot avoid all sugar. You have to have some sugar in your diet. But what I'm saying to you loud and clear, that chocolate is no good for you. Go for the dark chocolate, which is in every supermarket, 70 to 80 to 90% cocoa, actual cocoa. It bitter is a shame, the way it bitter. But it is far better for you than this. You will eat about 6 of these bars, 6 of them in 2 minutes. The dark chocolate, I'm going to take you 2 weeks to finish it. The way it bitter, but it is better for you in the long run, okay? Please, I beg you, no diabetic food. If you go into any supermarket or store and you see diabetic food, Go and see the manager and say to the manager, you met a young man named Tony Kelly who said, take them off the shelf. They are not so, because this is preying on the conscience, P-R-E-Y, of diabetes people. Oh, this have no sugar in there, so may go have it. They put sweeteners or saccharins in it instead. And on the news today, I've been saying it for so long, most sweeteners are saccharins. I've been saying it for the last 10 years. They are carcinogenic. They cause cancer. You are not supposed to be having sweetener, even in your teas and your coffees. You're not supposed to be having sweeteners. Have a little sugar if you're going to have sugar, whether brown sugar or white sugar or a little honey. But they have the marketing ploy right. There is no sugar added in it, but they put something in it to make it sweet, which is the saccharins or the sweeteners. Avoid it like the plague. I'm just keeping it real, folk. And the same with diabetes chocolate. Diabetes chocolate, people tell me, it run your belly. It give you diarrhea, okay? So avoid diabetes chocolate. Have the dark chocolate. Salt is a no-no. That salt is terrible. It's full of additives and preservatives. My daughter's husband is a chef, and he says they deliberately salt the food in restaurants so that you drink more. And you got to get the vodka and the lager and the tonic and the gin and the wine and the the food is salted. So instead of doing it with just the natural herbs like the basil and the dill and the onion and the garlic and the pimento and the cloves and all the nice and the spring onion and the scallion, they salt the food to the nth degree. And when you take, we know that. So when we go to restaurants and we taste this and they say, can we get you some drinks? I say, you can go and get us a jug of water, please. And then move along from here to Barbados and back, because that wasn't the answer they was expecting, you see. They was expecting us to say, oh, we want this tonic and we want this wine and this lager and so on. Get wise, folk, and ask for, don't even ask for the spring water or the tap water. Ask for plain tap water. They will soon get the message that they will stop salt the food more than ever before. Don't go for the sea salt because the ocean is polluted. The salt from the Himalayas. The Himalayan salt, which is pink salt, is the best salt to have to season if you're going to use it to season your dishes. And I've already told you what you should be using instead: the basil, the dill, the sage, the onion, the garlic, the thyme, the pimento. Those sorts of things are far better. Coming to the end of this set of slides, and it's about food. Breaking the fast. Remove the ing from breaking. Remove the, put break and fast together, you get breakfast. Now, some people, each to their own. I eat always between sort of 6:30 when the news is on and 7 o'clock, and have nothing else until 11 o'clock the next morning, allowing my body and the whole pancreas and the whole stomach and so on to get rid of whatever we had the night before. And so if we go, excuse me, to a restaurant or so on later at night, then I will have to eat then. But under normal circumstances, you have to decide what's the best time to eat for you. So some people go for 3 meals a day, but some people go for smaller portion sizes and have 5 meals a day. Some people go down the route of intermittent fasting, but you have to decide whether, if you have diabetes, should you be starving yourself of nutrients for so long a time, or if you have other ailments or illnesses. So you need to be mindful of that, okay? Fish. The more oily fish you have in your diet, I'll name you some of them: herring, mackerel, sardine, tuna. The more oily fish you have in your diet, it wards off senility, dementia, Alzheimer's. That is a fact. The more oily fish in your diet also wards off rheumatoid arthritis. However, Tony Kelly didn't say, go down at the fish and chip shop every week, go get fish and chips. That are not the oily fish me talking about. That is 3 times a year. And some of you are going to say, what, Tony, are you serious? I'm deadly serious. Deadly, deadly serious. 3 times a year, fish and chips. Also, some people say, well, what about the pink salmon? The pink salmon that you see lovely in the supermarkets there, It's farm fed in terms of fish. They give them pellets and they give them this lovely pink color. That too is carcinogenic or cancerous. Go for the salmon that comes from the wild of Alaska, red salmon from the wilds of wild salmon, and also from the Hebrides and Scottish and so on, up in Scotland and so on. Those is natural farmed salmon done in out there. That's far better salmon for you. Far better than this one. And I'll give you another tip here. For the last 13, 14 years, every morning without fail, I have a squeezed lemon in warm water, not cold water, squeezed lemon in warm water. One's acidic and one's alkaline, because it's going down in the stomach. So one's acidic and one's alkaline. It helps to wake up the stomach. And I do that every morning and have done for probably the last 12, 13 years, okay? Avoid alcohol. Muslims don't drink alcohol. The Seventh-day Adventists don't drink alcohol. The Methodists don't drink alcohol. That's understandable. But for those of us who do, you still have to have alcohol-free days. You must have alcohol-free days because alcohols is still piling on the pounds, still calories. So the beer, the lager, the stout, the rum, the gin, you will still pile on the pounds with alcohol. So women, 14 units per week, and men, 21 units per week. And those of you who smoke, I beg you, I'm not going to say anything more. All I ask you to do is stop smoking. And then the last slide I'm going to end with now is the cultural myths, after which, if you have any questions you want to ask of me, then by all means do. Cultural myths and misconceptions. Hang on, what have I done there? Have I done something right? I want to bring up, hang on, any questions? I'm finished that one. Thank you, move on. Stop share. Right, so stop share. I'm gonna bring up the cultural myths. Where are they? Cultural myths, here they are. Is that showing?
Not yet.
Not yet, so slide. I need to press the share button.
Yes, don't forget.
I need to press the share button, so bear with me while I find the share button. Where's the share button? Ah, here we go. So share screen, share.
You're sharing now.
No, but I'm
Oh, no, not yet.
No. I'm still sharing it. I'm saying I want to, let me close this down altogether. Bear with me while I close this down altogether. Get rid of that one and get rid of the cultural myths. Bear with me. Ah, here we go. Cultural myths. And I think I need to share. Why is it not sharing? I thought I was mastering this so well. Cultural myths. Yeah, and share. I think I'm there now. Slideshow from beginning. Olga, are they there?
Absolutely, thank you.
Brilliant. This is the last set, then any questions? These are cultural myths and misconceptions. In the Asian community, they swear by Karela, which you will see out there in some of the supermarkets and food shops, bitter melon or bitter gourd. Now, I'm not going to frown at them at all and say, well, you mustn't use this, but they need to be very mindful about if they're using the bitter melon or bitter gourd. And the same in the Caribbean community, African community, we're used to aloe vera and tuna and Cinco Bible. Before Fensic and Kafanol and paracetamol and Panadol came in, we growing back up in Africa and the Caribbean, we used these. My granny used to send me to get Tree of Life or to get soursop or get this, that, and the other and rub me down and the fever is gone or the headache is gone. So I'm not going to sit here and dismiss herbal remedies that we had gone by from years gone by. However, if you're on medication, you need to be mindful and be mindful of that. But there are all sorts of things out there. There's moringa, there's Cersei, all sorts of things that people use also in terms of to keep their health and wealth going. Now, in my events, when I get to this, I say, is diabetes a touch of sugar? And you want to see people putting up their hand and me say, when my day I beat up my gum for the last hour and a half, talking, telling you diabetes is more than a touch of sugar. And at the end, I ask this and people still put up their hand that it's a touch of sugar. Honestly, I feel like hit them because I think, what have I been wasting my time doing? Diabetes is more than a touch of sugar. I like white people, but you mustn't be having white bread, white flour, and white sugar. You need to go for, if you're having a little sugar, brown sugar, okay? And also honey, if at all, but keep it less is more. That's my take on it. So diabetes is more than a touch of sugar. In some communities, I'm not going to mention any, the ethnic group, you see them walking down the street, you see the man, he's as slim as ever, skinny as a rake, mager. Walking next to him is his princess, his duchess, his queen. And him say, yes, I've conquered, man. This is my princess, my duchess, my queen. They deliberately fatten them up. Certain folk fat up the woman to be that size while the man is as mager as a rake. And I said to them in those communities, less is more. Big is not beautiful. And they said, oh, in our culture, this is how we do it. I said, well, listen to what I'm saying to you. That is a recipe for disaster. I'm saying no more. Stop the foolishness, pack it in, I said to them. Diabetes is an old person's condition. Not anymore. Back in the 60s and 70s, yes, it's old people used to get it. Now children as young as 13, 14, 15, eating too much of the pizza. And every day, Monday to Friday, you watch them head to the chip shop after they leave the classroom. And they have the bag of chips. And then they go to the go get the burger and they get the milkshake and they get the pop and the fizzy drink. Fizzy drink pop should not be in your house, full stop, period. You need to drink water, water, and more water because the water helps to flush out, the kidneys flush out the toxins and the poisons by drinking water. We don't drink enough water. Aim for more water. And you can also get water in watermelon, in satsumas, in oranges, in grapes. So it doesn't have to be actual water, okay? So it's not an old person's condition. Then the next one, a big belly is a sign of a happy marriage. There are people out there who believe that. The woman must feed up her husband and make him look good because if he go out there looking mager, then people are going to chat him and say, the missus now feed her husband. That man is about to have triplets. Honestly, look on the size of his belly. Remember, 31.5 inches for all women. Asian men from the belly button, 35 inches. And black men and white men, 37 inches. But some people are bigger in size. So I try and get 2 inches off, 3, 4 inches off. But that is a recipe for disaster. In some communities, oh, they have to show off how rich and affluent and wealthy they are. Oh my gosh. Oh yes, we're rich here. Look, come and look in the larder. You notice the one dege strawberry in the larder? I would rather see that packed with satsumas, naseberries, oranges, strawberries, this, that, and the other, and less of that. That is 2-3 times a year. Donuts and fruit cake and pancake. I've done events in Canada because I go all over the world to do these events. And when we done the events and these people bring out this whole heap of this, and I say, excuse me, you expect me to eat that after me just done a telling about diabetes? I said, no, thank you. I'm not being inhospitable here, but I cannot have that food. That is no good to me. That you just send me into, what have you. So a treat now and again is fine, but you cannot be having this day in, day out. It's doing your body no good. Oh, getting diabetes is God's will. The Holy Bible, the Quran say you're going to get it. Just accept it. It is another cultural myth or misconception. Nowhere in the Bible or the Holy Quran does it say it's God's will that you're going to get it. So I have to then correct them. Diabetes is a mild condition. Everyone has it. It's no big deal. What's all this fuss and making about this condition? There are people out there who still have this mentality, and I have to try and correct them, okay? This is one. If you have diabetes, you won't be able to find a husband. People believe that, and you can't have children. My stepmother, who was married to my father in Canada, had difficulty conceiving because she had type 1 diabetes. She eventually conceived, and I have a half-sister living in Canada named Julie. So this is utter nonsense they're talking. Ramadan. If you decided to fast for Ramadan, pricking your finger to test your blood glucose levels, you've broken the fast. Absolute rubbish. And when I go to those communities, I've checked it with the Imam and the Muslim faith and so on, and they said, Tony, some people out there still believe this nonsense, cultural myths and misconceptions. And that is the end. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Tony. So informative, so much education, and well spent, Evelyn. I know we're really running behind.
In time, I know. Mhm.
But thank you so much. Is there any questions that anyone would like to ask Tony? I think we'll just do about 2 or 3 questions, and then I'll hand over to Reverend Dolly. Is there anything in the chat box?
I'm just looking for the first time at the chat box and seeing what's in there.
I did put something on, but I'm not sure if it was answered.
Well, I'm just seeing what, well, say it. Say
I
it.
was talking about reducing the fat in your tummy. I know you said you touch on it, and that's what I find that I go walking.
Mhm.
I do a lot of walking, but I
What-
still find that I'm putting weight on around my tummy,
Mhm.
and I think I start doing it during the pandemic
Mhm.
because
What about your eating habits? Are you eating healthfully?
yeah, I do eat healthy. I'm admittedly I do eat unhealthy as well. So it's not like sometimes I'm a sweet tooth person, but I don't
Okay.
eat cake every day. I
Mhm.
do have now and again because I bake, and sometimes if I bake, I try to give it away because if I leave it in the house, I'll probably eat it.
Eat it, eh?
So,
Yeah, temptation, yes.
yeah.
Eh.
So
What-
I do give it away when I bake, but I do try to eat healthy. I've got a husband in here who still thinks that I don't eat healthy enough. But then he has a habit of cooking late at night when it's his turn to cook. He cooks up until 11, 12 o'clock. And when I try to say to him, well, I
All
won't-
right. Well, let me stop you there. I'm going to say to you, you
Mhm.
probably need to go to your doctor, your GP surgery,
yeah,
and get a meal plan done. Have an idea of what you're eating. Have a discussion with the social prescriber, because if you
Yeah.
say you're still putting all this weight around your tummy, they might need to say you need to do something more physical than just, you say you do a lot of fast-paced walking. You might need to do something more active. And so I would suggest you need to go and see your healthcare team, the clinic, and let them talk you through and do out a plan for you for both meals and looking at the starch content and the carbohydrate content and so on. And also what more physical activity can they arrange for you to do to make you more active, because you can't keep on putting this weight around the tummy.
yeah. I find it quite difficult because I have spoken to them about it. And the doctor did put me on something. Well, he did recommend that I go on something called 8 weeks sugar something, which I did for 8 weeks. I did it, and I was supposed to be referred to get some help to lose the weight. I'm being diabetic too long, so it can't happen. So I was very disappointed because I did really well. And
well,
you know.
I'm going to suggest, so that other people can get a chance, I'm going to suggest you go back and see your GP and say you've been to this presentation and you want to make a bit of a more concerted effort to change, to lose some of the weight. Because losing the weight will in the long run help you, Marvin. It will. I'm telling you that for a fact.
Yeah,
Especially the
I
way
know.
around
Yeah.
the tummy.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we just run through the chat.
Do you mean a diabetic should not use body lotion on the toes? Nobody should use body lotion in between the toe. You can put lotion in the upper part of your feet and at the back and around here, but certainly nobody should be putting lotion between their toes. Talcum powder, yes, but certainly not lotion between the toes, because that's not just they rub against each other, and that will cause you to get all sorts of complications. What is the effect of egg in nutrition? I don't understand that, but I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian. I have eggs. Somebody else, other might not be able to have eggs, each to their own. That I would suggest you need to go and see your nutritionist or dietitian about, and look at your bloods and look at all sorts of things. And are eggs good for you? Because it might be good for what? It's like I can have ripe bananas. My wife can't have ripe bananas. No two individuals are alike. So I don't really know much about the egg situation for the person who asked it. You have to go check that out with your GP.
Yeah. Where are we? Yes, absolutely. Somebody just mentioned, I think Dr. Joel said, early detection and compliance to lifestyle modification plus treatment is the key factor.
Which is why people like me doing these sorts of things and getting people to change their lifestyle and going here, there, and everywhere. Some people take stick buck into them ears, and some people listen and take heed. It's up to individuals to come on board and say, hey, and men in particular need to change if they want to live. I go to far too many funerals. And somebody asked me earlier on about COVID. Black people succumb to COVID more than any other people because of our immune system. Our immune system happens because of the whole heap of wrong food we eat, and because we're not doing any physical activity, what some of you call exercise, but I don't. Our immune system has been compromised or been weakened over the years, and we need to get into a habit of eating healthily and being more fit and being more active. That is one of the main reasons. And of course, the racism, of course, within the National Health Service and so on. But we need to take control of ourselves, which is what I have done and been able for 18 years to go without having to take medication. The buck stops with you. That is what I'm saying loud and clear.
Okay, Chris O said, I've been on borderline for 10 years.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I made somebody just thanking us. I really think I've learned a lot, very informative.
Thank you.
Very informative. Yeah, thank you so much. Somebody mentioned, I'll do the last one. And then what we'll do on the website is answer the questions that we have not answered. So we'll answer those. Somebody has asked, said adults with diabetes are twice as likely to die from heart disease or stroke. Is that true?
That person must have joined late, because I clearly mentioned that at the start or somewhere in the middle there, that people with diabetes will succumb in terms of, and even my relatives back in St. Thomas, heart attacks, strokes, kidney failure, blindness, and lower limb amputations. Heart attacks, strokes, kidney failure, blindness, and lower limb amputation. And of course, premature or early death, gone too soon. So that exactly, that is true.
And then there's the last one. Is there a correlation between H. pyloric and diabetes?
I don't know what H. pyloric is, so I'm afraid I can't answer that. And if I can't answer a question, I'm going to tell you plain and straight, I can't answer.
We'll get the information and put it on the website.
Okay.
H. pyloric has something to do with some bacteria in the stomach. Yeah. So Reverend Dolly, is she around?
Yeah, thank you so much, Olga. May I just apologize to everyone for us shooting far above the time. I guess this is one of the longest talk we've had, but very informative, very deep, very thought-provoking. So we just want to appreciate you, Sir Tony Kelly.
Thank you.
To be honest with you, if you had gone 4 hours, we'll still be glued to it. To be honest, this is very intensive. Thank you so much
Well,
for
thank
being
you.
passionate about this. And we must commend your lifestyle for keeping everything together, and then using your pain to really elevate and motivate each and every one of us. So we
Yes.
really appreciate you, and we pray that all will be well with you, and that God will continue to strengthen you in what you're doing. Is a very good cause, giving so much back to the community without taking anything. God bless. I can only say God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Without much ado, everyone online tonight, we just want to say thank you so much. I know we've benefited so much about this. This is one video that I would love to watch back. I don't know how we're going to do it. Usually, we don't stream for longer than an hour to be able to go on our website and on our pages for people to stream it. But I'm going to leave that to Reverend Tony. Before I hand over to him, I want to appreciate every one of us that's attended tonight. Please, thank you so much for your time. I know you stayed back because obviously you enjoyed this. Let's share with our friends. This information are life-saving. We all want magic. No magic is going to happen. We have to change our lifestyles and benefit from it. Thank you so much, everyone. We're going to see you next this time again next month. Come Let Us Community Project gives back to the community, empowers the Black community through informative session and talks and motivational stuffs for us. And we come every Thursdays, the last Thursdays of every month. So, and if you want this video and every other video, visit our website and you're going to see a link to our YouTube page that's going to take you. I guess this is going to be streamlined onto our YouTube page and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you. And I want to just applaud and appreciate the organizers.